What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 12, Episode 5. Okay, I'm not on Episode 6. I'm behind, but the way things are going, I may not be interested in watching Episode 6. Episode 5, Episode 1 through 5, to me, has been absolute garbage. I am so mad at Crystal for bringing up this stupid comment that Sutton supposedly made, the comment that never was, that has gotten these women of 5, 6, however many there are, so obsessed with something that is so non-existent and not important. I don't believe Sutton said anything that was racist, prejudiced, offensive, none of that. I don't think she said anything like that. Crystal is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. She's trying to make her feelings, her lack of being validated by these women, the storyline. And I'm not interested. I don't give a damn about Crystal's feelings. I don't care how she interpreted what Sutton said. I don't care how whatever Sutton said made her feel. I don't think that this entire season, and I might be jumping the gun, it might get better later on. I have no idea. And I might never know, and I may never know, because I don't know if I'm going to continue with Beverly Hills. I don't care about like her trying to put the focus on her delicate feelings being offended, her feeling like no one's validating me, no one cares about it. I don't care about Crystal. There is nothing going on with Crystal. Why are we talking so much? It's been like 2, 3 episodes now where everyone is so focused on, well, what did she say? What did she say? What did she say? I'm so tired of it. Who cares what she said? At this point, I'm going to be upset if whatever she said wasn't absolutely, off the wall offensive, because nothing should be given this much time and this much energy if all she said was, I make it a point to expose my daughter to different cultures and different races. And I was sitting by the pool and I saw my white daughter in a pool with a black girl and a Chinese girl and a Irish Catholic girl. If that's what she said that was so offensive to Crystal, I'm done with this show. I am done with Beverly Hills, because this is pathetic that we are wasting this much time on absolutely nothing. Out of all the franchises, Beverly Hills, probably next to Dubai, but Dubai is also is lackluster. Out of all the franchises, Beverly Hills was supposed to be the one to really give us an inside look of how the extremely wealthy really live. Now we have these women who are upper middle class at best. The wealthiest of them all has left years ago, Lisa Vanderpump. When Lisa Vanderpump left, she took Beverly Hills with her, because one of the things that I was really looking forward to with Beverly Hills was I wanted to see the opulence, the luxury, the wealth. Of course, throw in a whole bunch of drama, but I also want to see what the upper crust or the upper crust live. These women are giving me like basement prices, bargain basement living. They're giving me absolutely nothing to work with. And okay, Lisa Vanderpump left. She took her millions with her. Erica Jane had the millions, lost it. Now she's basic like the rest of us. Kyle always has been basic, even though supposedly, allegedly, your husband owns half the property in Beverly Hills. Your life is very ordinary. What's her name? Dorit, constantly fighting off lawsuits. Nothing going on there. Garcelle, she's just a working girl in Hollywood. Acting. She's a working acting girl in Hollywood. Sutton, I thought Sutton was going to bring something, but Sutton, she's got this weird sense of taste, this weird sense of fashion that I'm really not vibing with her. So she's really not giving me anything but weirdness. Diana, I'm thinking, okay, Diana's going to bring it, okay, because she supposedly is extremely wealthy, wealthier than all these other women put together, but we barely see what's going on with her because we're so focused on Crystal being so easily offended and her feelings being bruised or whatever because of something that supposedly Sutton had said, which she didn't say. I'm so aggravated with Beverly Hills. So let's start off with Kyle. She's meeting up with Crystal for dinner, lunch, whatever. And they're talking about Paris's wedding. Kyle says that Paris is engaged or she's getting married or whatever the hell. It doesn't really matter because it really wasn't featured a lot on this damn show. So why are we even talking about it? So the conversation goes back to Sutton and the comment that she made a year ago when they were wherever they were at. And Crystal said that she will never, ever, ever repeat the dark thing that Sutton said. And then Kyle asked her a very good question. So why did you even bring it up? If you're not going to repeat, if you're going to allege that someone said something so racist, why would you even bring it up if you're not going to mention what the hell they said? Like, why wouldn't you even bring it up? So Kyle tells her that she should never have brought it up, and Kyle accuses Crystal of gaslighting and asks her to be more direct and less passive aggressive in the future. And then Crystal, she goes back to this dumb stuff that she says about, well, if you want me to be like that, then you're going to have to, validate my feelings. Y'all are going to have to take my feelings into Crystal, we don't care about your feelings. We don't care how you interpret things. We don't care that when someone says good morning, you take it as a racist comment. We don't care about that, Crystal. So let's move on to Colin and Diana. So Colin and Diana, they get together. This was a good part. Now, this is what I liked. They talked about some real deal Holyfield life stuff when Colin and Diana got together. So they talk about Paris's damn wedding. We saw a couple of clips of that. Then Colin announces that that Farrah, her oldest daughter, is now engaged. Then the conversation goes to babies. So Kyle asked Diana, do you see yourself having more children? Because Diana has 2 adult children and she just had a baby like a year ago. She has like a 1-year-old daughter. So she asks Diana, do you see yourself having more children? And Diana says, oh, you never heard about what happened to me. So she tells Kyle that after she had her baby girl, she had gotten pregnant again with a boy, and she was at one of her doctor's appointments, and the doctor was doing an ultrasound, and she was really excited. So she took out her phone to record it so she could send it to her husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever. And the doctor was like, put your phone away because the baby's dead. And I was like, wow, the doctor really said that? If the doctor really said that, I hope you have filed a complaint or something, because that was just uncalled for to say something like that to a pregnant woman. Put your phone away because your baby's dead. So coming to find out, the baby's heartbeat had stopped a couple of weeks prior, and she ended up losing the baby. And so it was a very heartfelt, like really sad story. And we got to see, like a very personal side of Diana. And I thought that was a really beautiful moment that she was able to share and be so vulnerable with her life. So I really enjoyed that. And obviously my heart goes out to her. Diana did tell Kyle at the end of it all that she does want to have another child. And I think that she should. It would be a good idea if she should, because otherwise her daughter is going to grow up like an only child. Nothing wrong with that. I'm an only child. Nothing wrong with that at all. But, it'd be nice if she had a sibling closer to her. I mean, she does have siblings, but they're grown. They're adults now, and she's just a baby. So it'd be nice if she did have another child, God willing, that she could, grow up as a close in age type of sibling. Moving on from that, Sutton meets up with Garcelle. Of course, the conversation goes to the comment that never was. Sutton brings up the conversation. Oh, Sutton tells Garcelle, but I think Garcelle actually brought it up. I don't know, but Sutton tells Garcelle, me and Crystal, we already discussed this so-called comment that I made. We had already talked about that like a year ago or something. I don't know. And so Garcelle keeps on asking, what did you say? What did you say? And Sutton says that her and Crystal had a conversation, I guess a year earlier, and it was about different ethnic children who were in the pool with her daughter. And Sutton had told Crystal, she thought to herself as she saw her daughter, her white daughter, in this pool with, these other different ethnic children, she said that she thought to herself, this is how it should always be, a mixture of races, just getting along. being happy, race is not an issue. And Crystal told her at the time, you need to go a lot further than that. That is not enough. Now, what the hell Crystal meant by that, who the hell knows? If somebody were to ask Crystal, she's probably not going to comment about it because she doesn't want to talk about it. She just wants to allege and insinuate that, she went through some really horrible, traumatic experience with something very racist that Sutton had said. So Garcelle was like, so what was so dark? There has to be something missing here. And Sutton said that was all she said. That was the entirety of the conversation. Then Garcelle says, well, if that's all you said, then you need to watch your back with Crystal, because she's taking something so small and insignificant and not even dark or dangerous or bad or offensive, and she's making it seem like, you're like this crazy raging racist. I'm ad-libbing here. She didn't actually say that, but that's what she meant. Crystal can be someone that can really ruin your reputation because she's going to take advantage of the fact that she's a woman of color and you're white, you're Southern, and it's not going to take much for people to believe that Sutton is racist just by Crystal dropping a couple of, crumbs here and there, alleging that or insinuating or implying that Sutton had said something that was very racist. Moving on from that. So now we find out that Lois, may she rest in peace. Lois had passed away November the 15th, 2021. So we have a segment where it's like paying a short tribute to Lois. We see some clips of Lois from when she had made appearances on the show, some social media videos of her, and Lois might as well have been a housewife because she was on the show quite a bit. And we all grew to really, really appreciate and love Lois because she was in her 90s, but the woman had a lot of energy, had a lot of life in her. And if we could only live that long with all of our facilities intact with that much energy, we would all be blessed. So it was really sad, remembering Lois. And of course, our heart went out to Rinna, her family, everybody. So may she rest in peace. So then moving on from that, Kyle and Eric are FaceTiming each other, and they're talking about the trip to Mexico. And first, they're talking about Rinna, about Lois passing away and how bad they felt about that. And then they were talking about the trip to Mexico because Dorit had invited all the women to Mexico, but they're going to be using Diana's private jet, which I thought that's the gag. It's Dorit's trip. She planned it. She organized it. I guess, PK is funding it, but they're using Diana's private jet. So where's your money, Dorit? But I'm getting sidetracked. So then the conversation goes to whether or not Rinna will go with them on the trip after Lois passing away, so soon. So they talked about that. Kyle says that she does want her to go so they can love on her, but we don't know at this point, we don't know if she's going to show up or not. And side note, why does Kyle, when she's FaceTiming, why does she hold her phone up so damn high? Like, what are you trying to show? What background are you trying to show off in your video, in your FaceTime? Like, if she had the phone, she had raised it so high up and she's like looking up like this. I'm like, Kyle, what are you doing? Why don't you just hold your phone like a normal person and just talk to the person? Why are you all up like this? Like, what are you doing, Kyle? Moving on from that. So now it's finally time for the girls' trip. They've all gathered around at the area where the private jet's going to pick them up. I don't know if it was somewhere, wherever they were supposed to be waiting for the private jet. So they all gathered there, and Rinna does show up. They're all very happy to see her, and yes, it was good that she showed up. But I did notice that Dorit is very self-centered. So everything, no matter what you're talking about, no matter what's going on, either she has to give her 2 cents or she has to somehow connect it to herself. And I didn't like how Dorit compared her trauma of her home invasion to Rinna losing her mother. I didn't think that the two were comparable or comparable at all. But she did in her confessional. She said that She started off by saying, well, having to live through my own trauma, and she was referring to her home invasion. It's like, girl, the two were completely different. Now, when they were together with Rinna, and, they were all giving their condolences to Rinna, Dorit, she had to bring up how, well, when my grandmother passed away, and I was there with her, da, da, da. And nobody else, even though Kyle would have related to Rinna the most because Kyle lost her mother, Kyle didn't even say, when I lost my mother, this is how I felt. But it had to be Dorit, who hasn't lost her mom yet, I don't think, but because she couldn't compare her mom, like her mom dying, so she's going to use her grandmother and say, well, when my grandmother died, I was there, and me being there during her last moments made me feel like, she was always connected to me, because Rinna talked about how her daughters had the opportunity to spend time with Lois, in her final moments. So Dorit had to somehow, bring this back around her. Bring this back around about her. We finally arrived in Punta de Mita, Mexico. And they're on their way to the villa or the resort or wherever they're going to be staying. And on their way there, they're in two separate cars, and Dorit is in one of the cars. And it was funny how in the other car, Garcelle said, how much do you want to bet that Dorit is speaking in Spanish? And then Sutton said, yeah, whenever she's speaking in Spanish, she was probably responding to her in English, because that's exactly what happened. In the car that Dorit was in, she was talking to the driver in Spanish, but the driver was responding to her in English. Girl, no one is going to buy that you're this world traveler. We don't really care. We don't buy it with your questionable accent. You want to appear like you're very well traveled, very cultured. You're anything but a regular schmegler American. We don't really care, Dorit. So Diana ends up sending her team, her squad, or whatever you want to call it, to the resort to check out her room, to make sure that her room is exactly to her liking. So they've hung up her clothes, they've taken measurements of everything, because Diana has to have everything done a certain way. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see. This is the kind of wealth that I want to see. Where you're so rich, where you have an entire team go to your room, your hotel room, or wherever it is that you're going to be staying, and they're going to have everything ready for you, and they know what you like, what you don't like, so everything is going to be ready for you just the way you like it when you arrive. That is what I'm talking about. That's the kind of wealth that I'm interested in. And we see Rinna, she's in her room, and she is, de-germing everything. So at dinner, they talk about Lois, they reminisce about Lois. Dorit arrives a little bit late because she had a lot of anxiety about the room that they put her in, because it was a ground level room. And so she still has anxiety about, her safety and everything from her home invasion. So I guess she had to go through a lot of rigmarole to be switched to another room. Once again, we are talking about the comment that never was. So Sutton, I think it started off with Rinna asking, so what happened while I was gone? And this is what brought up the conversation about Crystal and Sutton and whatever. So Sutton makes it a point to defend herself, and she makes it a point to say that, she's going to squash any misconceptions, misunderstandings, or anything at all that would imply that she is remotely racist or prejudiced, because she is not. So this makes Crystal defensive, and it makes her feel like she has to justify, what she's been saying all along. She has to justify her accusation even more, her accusations against Sutton. So then Sutton asks her, if we've already talked about it, why are you bringing it back up again? And so then Crystal says, well, it was just, what was said was so heavy, and it just made me so uncomfortable. And then she said, words are like Rorschach. And then Garcelle was like, what? And then Garcelle says, I don't even know what that is or what that means. And so Erica explains it's the blot test. I think it's that blot test that, a lot of therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists use, where they take some ink, fold the paper, and then they open it back up, and they'll ask the patient, what image do you see, which gives an indication of what's going on in your mind, depending on what image you think you see in the ink blot. So Erica explains what it is, and then Crystal says, I know I'm using these really big words. And I'm thinking to myself, you're supposed to be this wounded animal, this gentle, wounded animal who's got these very delicate sensibilities, and you are so offended by what this what this white southern woman said to you a year ago, because you're so delicate, and what she said was so dark and so heavy and so horrible. But here you come, guns blazing, completely insulting these women's intelligence, really Garcelle's intelligence, because she was the only one that asked, what is that? What are you saying? I don't know I don't understand what a Rorschach is. So then you're gonna say, yeah, I know I'm using these big words. So you're insulting the other woman of color's intelligence by saying that to her. But you're supposed to be, the victim in all of this, the victim of this harsh racism by Sutton. So Sutton says that, Crystal has assassinated her character, and now she's going to be treading very lightly with her friendship with Crystal. And then Erica says she went through the same thing, because when Sutton said, hey, you assassinated my character, Erica pipes up and says, well, what a coincidence, because I went through the same exact thing last year, implying that Sutton had assassinated her character by accusing her of lying about all the shenanigans, the legal shenanigans that her and her husband were involved in. The lawsuits, the victims losing their money because her husband was stealing the money from them, etc. Allegedly stealing the money from the victims of these horrible train accidents and plane accidents, etc. So in her confessional, Garcelle says you really can't compare what Sutton is going through now with what Erica went through last year. Because with Erica, she was being attacked by the whole entire world. And we were cautious with Erica because we didn't know if her shenanigans would have any effect on us. And this is the reason why Sutton was like kind of, standoffish with Erica and keeping her distance from Erica, because she didn't know if somehow or another she could be sucked into Erica's mess. Whereas this one, it's just one person against another, Crystal versus Sutton, and it's just Crystal making all these allegations against Sutton. So Erica just basically got to the bottom of it all, and I really appreciated her for saying this, because everybody else was just tiptoeing around. Even Sutton, who was supposed to be like the victim of this, was just tiptoeing around the main issue. So Erica says, okay, Sutton, so basically you're upset because she's basically accusing you of being a racist, right? And then Dorit pipes in, and she's like, well, it's not about the content of what was said, but just the Dorit, shut up. It is about the content of what's being said. This woman, Crystal, is basically accusing Sutton of saying something racist, because she keeps on talking about, me being a woman of color, and the conversation was around race. And then as they were talking about race, according to Crystal, Sutton had said something that was deeply offensive to Crystal, with her being a woman of color. So, Dorit, it's not about the insinuations. It's about the actual content of what Crystal is accusing Sutton of saying. So then Sutton then insinuates to Crystal, like, she better cool it. She better stop with her allegations. She better stop with her insinuations, because Sutton said, I know how you are with your friends. You backstab your friends, to get to the top, or you backstab your own friends to get to where you are the best friend of the most popular girl in the group. And she said this in her confessional, but she kind of like, hinted at it at the dinner table. Like, I know what you're really all about, because I've heard what your ex-friends have said about you. And it seems like this is a pattern of yours, and you're doing this again, where she'll backstab her so-called friends just to be sitting next to the most popular girl in the group. And my question was this. I was totally lost. I was so lost at this point, because I'm like, what most popular girl at this table is Crystal trying to adhere herself to? Who is it? Because the most popular one has left, which was Lisa Vanderpump. She was the most powerful, most popular, had the most wealth. She's gone. So who is it now? Like, who are you trying to backstab Sutton for? Like, who is it? Like, I don't understand what's going on. So Rinna says in her confessional that she had heard these allegations about Crystal. This was nothing new to her, but she had reserved not to say anything about it. So then Kyle claims that nothing dark was ever said. Crystal says that Kyle had missed everything. Crystal kept on saying, Kyle, you don't know what you're talking about because you were drunk. And Kyle kept on saying, I wasn't so drunk that I wouldn't remember. I remember the whole entire conversation because it was Crystal, Kyle, and Sutton in the kitchen, and they were talking about race. And that was when Crystal had said, don't tell me that you're that girl, when she was talking to Sutton. And Kyle keeps on insisting that I was there. I heard everything. I know what was said by both of you, and nothing bad was said. Well, coming to find out, the thing that Crystal says, as Sutton said, didn't happen in the kitchen. It actually happened the day before. It actually happened the day after the kitchen conversation. It happened the day after the kitchen conversation when supposedly, according to Crystal, Sutton had said something very dark. And the only conversation they had, I'm assuming from what I saw, was when Sutton told Crystal that she's trying to expose her daughter to different cultures. And so she invited a whole bunch of little girls. I don't know how old her daughter was at the time. She invited a bunch of her daughter's friends who were from different races to play with her daughter. And that was the end of it. And there was nothing else said. If there was anything else said, Crystal doesn't want to expose it. I'm not sure exactly. Look, the bottom line is this, y'all. I don't care. I really don't. I'm so sick and tired of this. Do y'all women do anything else other than go on trips, sit around a dinner table, and talk about the same damn boring thing ad nauseum? Do y'all have anything else going on? These women have become the Real Housewives franchise. The reason why it's sort of lacking in entertainment is because the women are so guarded and they're so protective of their lifestyles. You know, they don't want to expose too much. They want someone else to be the center of the drama, not they themselves. Perfect example is Kyle. Kyle, you've been on this show since day one. We rarely see your kids. We rarely see your husband. We rarely see the inside of your home. You are the one that wants to push the drama to other people. You don't want any drama around you, even though, word on the curb, that truth be told, if there was going to be drama about you, Kyle, there'd be a lot of drama around your marriage. So that's boring. The Kyle is boring to me. When her sister left, because when her sister, what was her sister's name? When her sister was on the show, they had a lot of issues. And it was interesting to watch the dynamic of that sisterhood. Very interesting to watch. But when the sister left, Kyle had no storyline, because even with Vanderpump, Kyle made sure that the storyline wasn't around her until her and Vanderpump had the falling out. Then Kyle kind of got interesting. Now Vanderpump is gone. So who does Kyle have now to be interesting with? Absolutely nobody. Garcelle tries to give us a little something with her life, with her dating life and stuff, but that kind of went nowhere. Dorit, she's so full of lies. You don't know what the hell. You don't know what to believe from Dorit because she's such a liar, and she's battling all these damn lawsuits that her and PK, her with her fashion line, PK with whatever the hell he was doing. So they really can't talk about much. And then so she had to create this home invasion story. And then you have Sutton, who doesn't really give much. I mean, we don't know. There's nothing going on with these women's lives. And so they used Crystal, the newest one to the bunch, besides Diana. They used Crystal to come up with some fake storyline, and all these women jumped on board. They're trying to make it look, I don't understand, it just seems so fake and so forced, because Crystal won't say what was said. So it kind of makes me doubt that anything was said at all. And if nothing was said, what the hell are we talking about? I hope episode 6 is going to bring something else other than Crystal and Sutton. I need something else. I gotta work with something else, because you women are basic. There's no money, there's no wealth, there's no luxurious lifestyles, there's no nothing to kind of distract me from these boring conversations that y'all are having. Absolutely nothing. That is my review of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Thank you so much for joining me. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. I'd be surprised. go ahead and subscribe. If you don't worry about it, but thank you for stopping by anyway. And I'm going to get into episode 6, and this is my last chance with these Beverly Hills women, because if episode 6 is centered around Sutton and Crystal, I'm going to lose my mind. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.